Whispers in the shadows. The old mansion on Mulholland Drive had stood silent for decades, its broken gargoyles shrouded by creeping ivy and time. Yet, tonight, it came alive again. For 5 friends in their late 20s, all students at UCLA, the sprawling, decayed manor was nothing more than a curiosity. A late-night adventure. They never imagined it would become their nightmare. Characters and their fears: Jesse, 28, a history major, serious and meticulous. But Jesse had a secret dread of failure that had haunted him since his father disowned him for pursuing academia instead of the family business. Lila, 26, an artist with a radiant imagination but a deep-rooted fear of the dark after a childhood trapped in a pitch-black storage room. Evan, 30, the joker of the group, always hiding behind humor. He harbored an unshakable fear of isolation after losing his twin brother at an amusement park as a child. Maya, 25, a psychology student with a steely exterior. She concealed her fear of death, born from years of traumatic hospital visits with her sickly mother. Victor, 29, the skeptic of the group, a science nerd who refused to believe in the supernatural. But Victor carried a secret. He feared control slipping away from him after a near drowning he couldn't resist as a teenager. That night, armed with flashlights and an old, hastily scribbled map they retrieved from the university archives, they gathered on the broken stone steps of the mansion. Victor had scoffed at the rumors of the house's dark history, whispers of black magic and rituals left unfinished. For Jesse, the mansion's history was intoxicating, tied to Hollywood's golden age and the occult obsessions of its fallen elite. But for the others, it was just an adventure, a way to stave off the dull monotony of late-night exam cramming. Maya's touch, an icy draft sweeping past them like a whispered warning. "Well, that's inviting," she murmured, stepping inside. The beginning of the end. The air inside tasted stale, heavy. The wallpaper peeled in jagged curls, as if the house itself were shedding skin. Their flashlights seemed to dim slightly as they passed beneath the grand archways leading to a cavernous dining room. A long table dominated the space, coated in decades of grime, and at its center, an intricate wooden box. Jesse's eyes lit up with curiosity, but Lila shivered. "Don't touch it," she said sharply. But Jesse's curiosity got the better of him. "Relax. It's just a box." The lid opened with a soft groan, revealing an obsidian dagger and yellowed parchment covered in incomprehensible symbols. "What the hell is that?" Evan asked, inching backward. "It's a ritual dagger," Jesse replied, almost breathless. He traced the parchment lines with his fingers, his brows furrowing. It's black magic. Some kind of invocation ritual." Nope, Lila muttered, backing toward the door. But then, the door slammed shut behind them. Lila jumped and spun to no avail. The handle twisted uselessly in her grip. "It's just the wind," Victor said, his voice wavering. He glanced around the room, visibly trying to ground himself in logic. "Old houses shift like this all the time." "Something's wrong," Maya whispered. Victor was about to reply when the lights of their flashlights surged, flickered, and went out completely. For Lila, the sudden darkness was like falling into an abyss. She gasped, wide-eyed, her hand clawing for anyone nearby. They stood in silence until a sound shattered the stillness. A low, guttural hum reverberated through the walls, creeping into their bones. Jesse switched to the flashlight on his phone, only to have its beam fall on an object that hadn't been there before: a blackened skull sitting proudly at the head of the table. "I'm not crazy, right? That wasn't here 2 minutes ago," Evan muttered, his voice tinged with unease. "It wasn't," Maya confirmed, her lips tight. "Jesse, close the box. Now." But before Jesse could comply, the parchment symbols began to glow faintly, blood-red lines etching themselves deeper into the brittle fibers. The guttural hum swelled. The mansion's power takes hold one by one. The 5 friends began to experience the depths of their fears. For Lila, the darkness became alive. She swore she could hear faint whispers just beyond her reach, circling her. When she spun, she faced nothing but shadows. Yet it felt mockingly close, taunting her. Sweat dripped down her temple as the whispering grew louder. "We have to leave," she kept repeating. Victor found his logical walls collapsing under the oppressive weight of what he couldn't explain. Breath caught in his throat as his limbs began to move against his will, dragging him closer to the table. He clawed at his legs, panic blooming as he realized he was losing control. Meanwhile, Evan was alone, completely and utterly alone. He screamed for the others, but there was no response, only the cold, vast emptiness of the room. Every corner of the house seemed to stretch away infinitely, swallowing sound itself. Even his own heartbeat seemed to fade into nothingness. Maya stood frozen as rotting specters, remnants of the house's dark rituals revealed themselves in a flicker of shadow. They craned their faces closer to hers, eyeless and grinning. Her rational mind screamed that this wasn't real, but her body betrayed her, paralyzed as one reached out a twisted claw for her throat. Jesse, clutching the box, was at the center. He tried to piece together the ritual's meaning, desperate to stop what he had unknowingly begun. Dread settled over him as he realized this wasn't just a summoning. This ritual had tied itself to their deepest vulnerabilities, a mirror that fed on their fears to manifest its terror. The breaking point, Maya, with trembling hands, grabbed the obsidian dagger from Jesse. "We end this here," she hissed, trying to be the steady one. With a racing heart, she stabbed the parchment, causing it to erupt into flames. The room convulsed. A deafening, otherworldly scream filled the air as the house shook violently. Cracks splintered through the walls, and the chandelier above crashed to the ground. For a moment, the friends felt as though reality itself might dissolve. But then, silence. The box fell to the ground, its contents turned to ash. The door groaned open once more, sunlight pouring in, an eerie reminder that dawn had arrived. Epilogue: on the ride back to campus, no one spoke. The five friends sat in bone-deep silence, grappling with what they had seen, what they had felt. They had escaped, but the mansion's mark had been branded onto their souls. That night, each dreamed of symbols and darkness, their fears waiting for the shadows to grow again. A question for you, reader: what would you face if your deepest fear was laid bare? Would you stand and fight, or would it consume you like the shadows whispered to our five friends?